The Ratburger by David Walliams. Chapter 7. Animal Smuggling. It isn't easy to smuggle a rat into school. The hardest animal to sneak into school is of course the blue whale because it's just too big and too wet. Hippopotamuses are also hard to slip in unnoticed, as are giraffes, too fat and too tall, respectively. Lions are inadvisable. All that roaring gives them away. Seals bark too much, as do walruses. Skunks smell really bad, even worse than some teachers. Kangaroos just don't stop hopping. Elephants tend to break the chairs. An ostrich will get you into school quickly, but is too big to hide in your school bag. Polar bears blend into Arctic wastes very well, but can be spotted instantly in a school dinner queue. Smuggling a shark into school would lead to instant expulsion, especially if you had swimming lessons that day. They have a tendency to eat the children. Orangutans are also a no-no. They can be disruptive in class. Gorillas are even worse, especially in maths. Gorillas are not good with numbers and hate doing sums, although they are surprisingly good at French. A herd of wildebeest is almost impossible to take into school without a teacher noticing. Nits, on the other hand, are ludicrously easy. Some children smuggle thousands of nits into school every day. A rat is still a difficult animal to smuggle into school, somewhere between a blue whale and a nit on the hard to smuggle to school scale. The problem was that it was impossible for Zoe to leave the little thing at home. Ginger Nut's old battered cage was long gone, as her stepmother had taken it to the pawnbrokers. The ghastly woman had swapped it for a few coins, which she promptly spent on a bumper box of prawn cocktail crisps. 36 bags she had demolished before breakfast. If Zoe had just left the rat running around the flat, she knew that Sheila would have poisoned it or stamped on it or both. Her stepmother made no secret of hating all rodents, and even if Zoe had hidden the rat in her bedroom drawer or in a box under her bed, there was a very good chance Sheila would have found it. Zoe knew that her stepmother always rummaged through her possessions the moment after she left for school. Sheila was looking for things she could sell or swap, or some more prawn cocktail crisps. One day all of Zoe's toys had gone. Another day it was her beloved books. It was just too risky to leave a rat alone in the flat with that woman. Zoe considered putting the rat in her school bag, but because she was poor, she had to take her books to school in a beaten-up plastic carrier bag held together with strips of sticky tape. It was too much of a risk, for the little rodent might nibble its way out. So Zoe hid it in the breast pocket of her 2 sizes too large blazer. Yes, she could feel it constantly wriggling around, but at least she knew it was safe. As Zoe came out of the stairwell of the tower block and onto the concrete communal area, she heard a shout from above her. "Zoe!" She looked up. Big mistake. A huge flobbit of flob flobbed square onto her face. "Zoe!" "Ha ha 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 ha!" Tina shouted down. Zoe refused to cry. She just wiped her face with her sleeve and turned away, Tina's laughter still echoing behind her. She probably would have cried, but then she felt the little rat move in her pocket and she instantly felt better. Now I've got a little pet again, she thought. It might just be a rat, but it's only the beginning. Perhaps Raj was right. Her dream of training an animal to entertain the nation wasn't dead after all. The rat's presence remained a comfort when Zoe arrived at school. This was Zoe's first year at big school and she hadn't made a single friend yet. Most of the kids were poor, but she was the poorest. It was embarrassing for her to have to go to school in unwashed clothes from charity shops, clothes which were either far too big or far too small, and most of which had gaping holes in them. The rubber sole had all but fallen off her left shoe and flapped against the ground every time she took a step. Flip, flap, flip, flap, flip, flap went her shoes every time she walked anywhere. Flippity-flap, 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 flippity-flap if she ran. In assembly, after an announcement about an end-of-term talent show, the pale headmaster, Mr. Grave, stepped up to speak. He stood at the centre of the stage, unblinkingly staring at the hundreds of pupils gathered in the school hall. All the children were a little bit scared of him. With his staring eyes and pale skin, wild rumours abounded among the younger pupils that he was secretly a vampire. Mr. Grave proceeded to give a stern warning to those errant pupils who, against the rules, had been smuggling their mobile phones into school. This was just about everyone, though Zoe was far too skint to even dream of ever owning one. Great, thought Zoe. Even when we're being told off, I get left out. Needless to say, I'm not just talking about phones, boomed Mr. Grave, as if reading Zoe's mind. His voice could carry across a crowded playground at break time and make every pupil fall silent in a heartbeat. Anything that beeps or vibrates is strictly forbidden. Do you hear me? He boomed again. Forbidden. That is all. Dismissed. The bell rang and the kids plodded off to their lessons. Sitting on the uncomfortable little grey plastic chair on her own lonely row at the back of the assembly hall, Zoe wondered nervously if her rat came under Mr. Grave's description. It certainly vibrated, and sometimes it beeped, or at least squeaked. Don't make a sound today, little rat, she said. The rat squeaked. Oh no, thought Zoe.